Welcome to Coach SG and Friends, where we discuss topics that help you have a better relationship with yourself and others. I am Coach SG, otherwise known as your joyful friend. I'm a relationship coach and life mentor, an entrepreneur and speaker. I'm based out of Los Angeles, but originally from Brooklyn, New York. I love great music, deep conversations, and inspiring people to live their best emotional lives and create their most amazing love story. Let me introduce you to my two friends, Janessa Rose and Lisa Miranda. Janessa is the CEO of Motivational Monsters, a nonprofit that helps people activate mental health and emotional well-being through creative arts. She is the author of How to Stop Being an Effing Bum. BUM stands for Broken Urban Mentality. She's been dubbed the Tony Robbins / Cardi B of motivational speakers, and she calls herself the Galactic Goddess. Lisa Miranda is an actor and creative director. She's also dabbling in producing. She is based in Miami, New York, and Paris. She is a world traveler who speaks several languages, who loves life, good people, and good conversation. So we want to welcome you to our podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back, ladies. It's great to see you again and looking beautiful as always. So the topic today is how to heal after a breakup. I just think that this is the thing. This is the stuff we don't talk about, right? So how do we heal after a breakup, after our heart is completely broken and shattered in pieces? So today we are going to give you our prescription. There's 10 things that we feel like you should do to heal from a breakup. The first step is to acknowledge and process your feelings. The reason that we want to do that is before we even get it into like labeling it and all that, like we just need to feel the shit and just go like, this hurts.
Yeah.
This hurts. It hurts me deeply to my core. And we just gotta acknowledge that part.
You're gonna feel all these things beforehand. The first thing that occurs is the devastation of the split. And that's what we're feeling. And that is the denial, the isolation, the anger, the self-sabotaging, numbing out, or rejecting the reality of it. And then we don't want to feel the hurt and things. Then the acceptance comes when you finally realize resisting this reality is not really working. That's when you start to accept like this.
Or when they change their number and get a restraining order, whichever comes first.
Well, damn, Lisa.
Well, I want to make sure that we are writing this prescription in the same way that we would deal with like a gunshot wound, right? So if you got shot, you need to acknowledge that you've been shot and so that you can figure out what the next step is to do before you go through all these, series of emotions. It's really about, wow, I'm hurt. And when I'm hurt, I need to work on my repair, not work on what people have done to me yet.
A lot of people, when they break up, it's more of the the blame game or the victim state. So it takes time for them to get to that place like, I'm hurt. Sometimes the expression comes out as, no, they did this, they did that. The focus is on more on the blame. And so the acceptance part is how we move forward with the healing. But beforehand, it's the hard stuff. And like you said, admitting to it and embracing it and going through it.
Great. Lisa, anything you can add for acknowledging and processing your feelings? Is there anything that you do?
Yeah, of course. Sometimes it's after fighting or arguing or disagreeing or something painful, and we didn't get the last word in, we didn't get the closure, we didn't present all of our evidence or call up all our witnesses. So I think there's something there's something like, okay, it's over, but it's not in terms of losing and winning. It's over as in now we have to start the stage of taking care of ourselves again. There's a lot of shifting, and there's a lot of raw energy tied to the whole experience. So just taking a moment
Yeah, I love that. I agree with both of you guys, and I think I want to make sure we give people tools. And I would say for myself, I know for myself, and this is just what I do on a daily basis. If I'm feeling any kind of emotional pain, I'm feeling any kind of resistance, I'm feeling kind of anything like that, I go to write. I write. That's where I heal myself. That's where I acknowledge what's happening. Like,
You're right.
okay, my hurt my feelings, and here's why, and I don't like this, and I don't like that, because if I don't get it out, I have to get it out. What happens with what I used to do before is I would be like, I gotta be right, and I gotta be in positivity, and I gotta be in, no, I just gotta feel my feelings. So feel your feelings, get a book out and write, record, whatever you need to do, but just let it all come out.
Yeah,
So
journaling is such a huge tool. Oh my God, I journal. I'm a journaler.
yeah. So
I
you
actually have a hard time journaling negative emotion.
Oh, not me.
what's
Like
that?
I have a hard, if I don't feel good about something, I don't always feel like writing out the details because it feels like I'm living in it. So what do you suggest if writing, or you know what I'm saying, if writing feels like I'm, you know, you're stepping into the hell. How do you reconcile doing that if it makes it feel more fresh?
Well, I
Um,
think and I'll let you talk to Nessa. You talk first, and then I'll go.
okay, cool. So I experienced that as well, because I've always had more negative than positive, and so it became like my thing. And then when I started to wake up, like, oh, Janessa, this is always negative. Maybe you're giving more power to the negative. But then how do you process the negative? You'll keep it in, afraid that like you're adding more to it. So what I would do is I would write a pro and a con. So for every con, there's a pro too, and then it seems clearer what choice of processing I want to
I
choose.
like that.
Yeah, so that's what I started to do. That would help me. I would be allowed to focus on the anger or the hurt or the pain or whatever the negative was, or the lower, let's not even say negative anymore, right? Because it's part of. So the lower aspect of self and processing or whatever, and then the higher, what were the great things? And what do I choose to use? And does this circumstance have an avenue to the higher? Or is the higher more than the lower? And you just contrast it, and it allows you to be in both, and then you can feel what's best for you. And that helps.
I love that. I agree with her, and I was going to say something similar. I think you have to get it out though, so you can't be afraid that if I step in it, I'm going to just sink into it. So I can't stay in it for too long. But you have to acknowledge it. It's the only way that you can process it. So you have to be able to look at it. You've got to be able to let it out and validate your own feelings. And once you validate your own feelings, then you can figure out, because everybody's at a different place. They may not even be able to get to a pro yet, but you want to, that's always the goal, to get to a pro, right? So you want to go like, let me let it out, but what can I think of today that will get me to a better place, that won't put me in resistance? And it may be, well, I'm glad that I took this time to let this out. That could be the pro. So you just need to take a step each time to just get to a better place. So 1, acknowledge and process your feelings. 2, turn up the nurturing and self-care for yourself. All that self-love and self-care, this is where we got to turn it up. So
I love this one.
So what does that look like for you ladies?
I think for me, that's getting back to what you like. Your first of all, you're honoring your rituals, treating your schedule sacred, allowing things that make you feel good and powerful and loved and appreciated. This is very important. And rediscovering who you are, because when you're in a relationship, you do a lot of we, and sometimes your we's are compromising things. Maybe it's a TV show you watch that's really not even your thing, or maybe you stopped hanging out with certain friends and you kind of miss them. So it's finding out rediscovering your passions, being curious about you again, and letting go of the things that maybe you weren't really that excited about.
For me, the turning up on nurturing yourself for me is like, girl, you gonna cry all day today. All right? For me, I'm telling you, because I get real like, you ain't doing nothing with yourself. All you do is I get hard on myself. You know, the same way I talk to you guys is the way I talk to myself even worse. Look at you crying. He don't even care. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes serious. And you know what else? In my personal heartbreaks, the main one everybody in my life knows about. So they don't want to hear it no more. They like, girl, this has been going on for 20 years. You get. So I really give myself the space to go through it all. Just like Sherelle was saying about the writing. When my nurturing is, it's okay if you still need to talk about it. It's okay if you still need to write about it. It's okay if it's coming back up. It's okay if you woken up to a place of forgiveness, because for a long time I was angry, and then I had like a weird space of, should you forgive? You know what I mean? But my nurturing is really allowing myself to be my most broken, and it'd be okay. Because staying in the mindset of, you're Janessa, ain't nobody gonna play you, and that was a blockage, and it kept me hurt for a longer time, and it kept me hurting the people that I really cared about, even my connections. You know, my connections I cared about, I was genuine about them. So for me, the nurturing looks like that at first, and then once I feel strong again, it's about like, okay, girl, now you gotta treat yourself the way you need to be treated, you know, and so you can exemplify that for whoever else is gonna come in.
And I love that you guys shared two ways, and the reason I love it is because it has to be personalized, you know. And when I take, you know, I try to listen to, like, not listen to, when I think about a wound, right? When you think about a physical wound, you every day you got to turn up the self-care and nurturing. So that means you may have to eat different, you may have to elevate your leg, you know, whatever it is, what part of your body, right? So it's the same with emotional repair. You got to figure out what those things are, and they're usually like, you know, you got to turn up the meditation. You may have to, you know, do more of that self-talk in the mirror. You may have to sleep more. You know, you don't want to eat well. You don't want to eat shit that's going to make you feel really bad, or, you know, drink a lot and do a lot of drugs. You don't want to do these things that's going to make it worse. You want to do things that's going to make it better. So you may, if you love Zumba, you like, you know, you like going out to dance or whatever, you got to go out and do those things. Anything that's going to help repair, because the goal is always to help repair yourself.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
And not placing judgment on the process that you're on, because if you did end up drinking too much, or not showering, or do whatever nonsense, whatever you did, whatever you're doing, like, be gentle with yourself, because and just do the best that you can in the most difficult moments. Because I know for me, it's very easy to be like, you're not going to do this, you're not going to. Well, then what am I going to do? You know,
And
so
that's why,
you know, so, yeah, so leaving the judgment, because the end of the relationship, sometimes there can be a lot of judgment. So don't start the healing process with a lot of judgment on where you're at.
absolutely, I agree with that. Thank you for mentioning that. I think because really, it's really about the repair, and it's about personalizing your healing. You're not going to heal like everyone else. And when Janessa said, she's like, I just said, I'm going to give myself permission to cry all day. That's what her healing looks like, and maybe it looks different than someone else. So you've got to know what it is for yourself, you know. And you know, you want to add some vitamin D and B12 too. Get some sun and get some things that are going to elevate your spirit a little.
I thought you was talking about the other vitamin D.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I was just like, wow, Sherelle really changed. She changed what she was just saying a minute ago.
I said personalize your healing, and whatever that looks like for you is what it looks like for you. So vitamin D might be different for me than for you. Whatever it is for you, I think, you know, it's not about judging it. It's about understanding what your needs are, and getting them fulfilled.
Can I add on to this too? Because when you say personalizing the healing, I love that. What happens is sometimes we forget about what it is that we need and want, and we're focused on how they're thinking about the ex, you know, the breakup. Because you're already in a pattern of valuing their opinion. And so now the way you're healing and processing it, sometimes we're way more considerate of how they're receiving, how we're processing. And we may subconsciously heal or process it in a way that looks good to them. And that doesn't really give us the space to heal correctly because we're still, this is a part of the grief process called bargaining, where we're kind of bargaining like, oh no, I'm allowing you your space, with a subconscious belief that we're going to come back together, or you know what I mean. You really got to let yourself go through it, even if the other person can be like, oh God, you're a mess. It's not their, you know, it's
I
not
agree. I think it was kind of what Lisa was saying, is that we're so used to the we, instead of the me. And
Yeah.
this is where we're no longer a we. So you got to focus on yourself, So I love that.
Yeah.
So acknowledge and process your feelings. Number one, we're going to turn up the nurturing and care for ourselves. And we're going to personalize what that looks like for us. And number three, it's manage your thoughts and emotions. And it's kind of, it's like the same thing. All these stuff, they're all intertwined, right? So this part is really about managing your thoughts and emotions so that you become aware of how you're feeling, but you're not managing them. You're managing you. So it's just like if we'll go back to the gunshot wound, right? You're feeling sick in some way, and they say, well, if you're feeling nauseous or whatever, do this. Or if you can't eat fried chicken when you probably should be eating soup. It's going to feel better for you when you're sick. You can't do things the way you've done them when you're sick, right? So you got to know that you're not feeling well. So when you're not feeling well, you've got to manage your thoughts and emotions and make sure that you're feeding your soul good things. You want to feed yourself good thoughts, and good thoughts turns into good emotions. So we want to make sure we're feeding our soul with good things. We can't be like this, MF this, and this, bitch this. We have to feed ourselves good thoughts so that we feel better. But go ahead, sorry.
But sometimes even when we don't have good thoughts, when we are doing that, we get a lot of negative stuff, like random times emotion drops, or you have times where things are going great and then you're just overwhelmed with sorrow. So and that's what I was just trying to figure out. How do you, like, other than like go take a nap, how do you, how do you manage? Because I know from my experience with breakups, sometimes weeks, months, years, oh my God, just woke up so sad, crying. But it's like, I wasn't thinking about that. That wasn't on my to-do list. It's not like today was our anniversary, So how do you, yes, of course you get up, I know you try to keep your routine as best as possible. This isn't the time where you stop exercising or going to work or doing whatever you normally do. But I don't know how you deal with the things that just come out of nowhere.
So this is where my science stuff comes in.
Ooh.
Breakups are really hard, right? And I hate them. Ugh, forget it. I'm always genuine and really hoping that we could stay as a thing and grow, right? But it doesn't work like that. So one of my most devastating breakups was haunting me for years, and it still does. It's just like a thorn in the hip. It's going to be there. But I couldn't understand, like, why can't I get over it? What is going on? And then I started to research what happens to the body, the brain, and our chemicals, because feelings and emotions are a result of the chemical, release in the brain. And we have to start to understand the science behind our physical body. So that way we could say, oh, you know what? He totally was a dick, or she was totally stupid, or whatever the case is. But why do I miss them? Why do I love them? When we understand how the body works, and we can say, oh, I'm not detoxed. Lisa, you brought up the withdrawal, and Sherelle brings up a lot of the medical, the prescription of it. We have to detox the relationships that we already went through. We got years or months or anything done over 90 days consecutively becomes habitual. We're pattern thinkers and pattern learners. That's how the human brain receives information and stores it. These are science. So it doesn't matter what we believe. This is the way we operate. So knowing that, it changes things. And so when you're dating someone, you're going to check for certain things before you sign into this, we're going to connect, because it's going to be, we're going to connect, because after connecting, God forbid if we have to split, I know that I'm going to have to detox this. It's the same thing as a person who is clean on drugs for a long time says, if I relapse, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to detox this. So you want to really consider who you're connecting with. But we don't think like this in our earlier stages of sharing and connecting. When you start educating yourself, and the reason why I'm even saying any of this is because self-nurturing is a part of this too. It's not just crying about it. It's not just calling your friends and complaining about it or sending text messages to your ex to hope you get your point across. It's also educating yourself and giving yourself the tools to fight these moments when they come up. Because like Lisa said, girl, yes, they are gonna come up. They are gonna pop up. There's gonna be a day that it was not on your agenda, and all of a sudden you're thinking about it years ago. Like, where the hell and why the hell did that not work? You know? But when we understand universal law, when we understand man law, when we understand Earth's law, when you understand the way things operate, whether or not you believe them or not, it puts you in a powerful position to say, this is part of that program. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so is this why sometimes when you have a new breakup, it triggers feelings about old breakups and everything that has nothing to do with each other all?
Well,
Yeah, because those are the same emotions, and I love what Janessa said, because she gives you the science behind it. Our body's doing a bunch of stuff, right? We're stuck in a habit. So just like if I go on a diet, right? So right now I'm on keto, right? So when I'm on keto, you know, I'm not eating bread, I'm not eating sugar. There are things I'm not eating. It doesn't mean that I don't still crave things that were not good for me, because it's been a habit for so long, and I've got emotions connected to when I eat that, you know, whatever that thing is that I eat, those chips or whatever, because we've been stuck in a habit loop. So it's like Janessa was saying, and if you're not understanding what your mind does, what your body's doing, you don't understand why you're waking up, you know, a year later, a month later, and you're still attached and you don't know why. It's because you don't realize that your brain and the energy and our vibrations and our connections and all the science behind how we're connected, we're fighting against that. And we need not to fight against that. But what we need to learn to do is to teach ourselves how to get up the emotional scale. So when we are feeling negative emotion, that we can get from feeling angry to hope. We're not going to get there tomorrow. That's not going to happen. But we've got to learn how to get us from pain, you know, to another stage. So you want to take baby steps. And if you're not used to doing that cycle, that, I don't know if they call it neurocycling or whatever, if you're not used to that cycle, you're going to wake up a year later and find that it's still happening.
Mm-hmm. And it's still
So
happening.
does it ever really go away?
No.
Well, I don't know.
No.
Well, ladies,
All right
enjoy the
now.
rest of your day.
I have a different perspective, and I think
Party playing. No, listen.
we are rehearsing emotions all the time. So there's certain things that happen that make us feel insecure. There's certain things that happen that make us feel bad in some way. So it feels like it's connected, but really we're just rehearsing the same emotions, and then we're pointing to this incident as the reason why. But you know, we're given that, but we give that our power. Oh, I'm insecure because this person told me I look fat. No, I'm insecure because I'm insecure. They just activated what was in me. They didn't cause my insecurity. They activated the insecurity I have inside. So when you wake up that next day and you feel like, oh, I'm still feeling this emotion, is because something activated that emotion within you.
Mm-hmm. Triggers.
Okay. So
Yes.
what you're saying, let me make sure that it's something, you know, something like palatable, like something people can understand. So you're saying after you've activated this emotion, you may wake up with it for a while, and you have to get yourself on a higher level on this emotional scale so that you can free yourself from that feeling. But that can take as long as it takes.
Yeah, and I think instead of making it the incident, make it about you. Because the more you make it about the incident, you're trying to get over the incident. No, you're trying to change your emotional state. So it's not about the incident and getting over the incident. It's about saying, okay, this thing has caused, it's activated insecurity in me. How do I get back into my power? So you got to travel up the emotional scale. If somebody, I've been living with that, they've been calling me all kinds of names and activating my insecurity, and we've been in this habit loop for a while, I'm not just going to feel secure tomorrow, because I'm just not, right? But if I'm used to taking myself up the emotional scale and I go like, they're not the cause for my insecurity, they're just activating what's in me. That's where I get my power. I change that insecurity, but but that's not true, and you get yourself up the emotional scale. And I think that's the part that we don't learn. At least I didn't learn it. And that's where my power is, and being able to, because now it doesn't matter what you say to me. It doesn't matter what you do to me, because I know how to repair my emotions. I can't fix you. I can't manage you. I can't manage your behavior, but I can manage my emotions.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is these triggers, right? So sometimes it may not even be a person. Sometimes you could be watching a movie and it triggers things. And then all of a sudden, whatever that pattern had brought those emotions up, those things one by one, like you said, you just all of a sudden one thing happens and boom, 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 10 years of experience is tied to it in different circumstances. Well, I think what Sherelle is saying is like, you got to get to the point where you're like, yo, you know what? This is a trigger, and it's not about John Doe and him not doing whatever, or the movie I watched, and why am I reacting like this to a film? It's really saying what this emotion is, and how in every one of those things that just came up, we look at them. How is John Doe in this movie related to when I was 7 years old and I was screamed at? How is that related to my first boyfriend when he embarrassed me on the football field? I don't know, I'm just pulling shit out of my ass, right? So these are the things, these are the things that occur. And so that's the key focus has got to be on that. What am I feeling? Because really what that trigger is it's showing you, and why these things that keep happening is because it's the unhealed part of self that's like, heal me, so that way we can move forward and not have this emotion. So that's what we mean about like not having the emotion. But it's harder because we're not programmed to say, oh, this is a trigger coming up. Immediately it's a negative emotion and we don't want to feel it. So a lot of the times when we feel negative, we're like, oh, this is a negative feeling. We don't correlate negative with needs healing, needs work. It's like no negative vibes. It's like, that's not an option. They come.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you gotta just know, all right, I'm being triggered. And then also a good thing, and what I like to do is when I know that I'm being triggered, and sometimes it's not easy, but you got to say, all right, this triggers me. Can't do it no more. You know what I mean? Can't do it no more. Got to let it go. I also believe that sometimes the more we do something, because I'll bring it back to the brain and the way it receives information, the more we do something, the more programmed we are in the pattern. So every time, even the little times, like, no, 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 I'm not going to look at it. You add in another brick on that wall that you got to break down eventually. That brick wall that's holding all those sensitive things back. So the more we be like, rah, 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 I'm not going to pay no mind to that. We'll do something else. And you're just cementing and bricking, cementing and bricking, cementing and bricking. And then when all of those feelings start to bust over or pour over that wall, you're like, oh my God, the bricks are going to fall. And that's how we feel. I mean, it's the best way I could put it, but it's triggers. That's all triggers. And we got to know that we're responsible for ours. We'll sit there. The more and more we sit there and blame them, the more and more we're gonna be hurt, because they're not. Nobody's committed to being like, yeah, I'm your trigger. Yeah, I'm causing it. Nobody's gonna sign up to that. Like, yeah, I'll play that role in your story. That's your story. They got their own story.
I love that. I love the way you put that all together. And I love the word trigger. And I also love the word warning. And Lisa knows I'm always putting some car analogy in. And this is where emotions, negative emotions, are their triggers and their warning signals. And this is where I want to talk about the car analogy. It's kind of like those indicator lights on your car that tell you, I'm running out of gas, I'm running out of oil, I'm running out of these things. But what we do is we put it on the person, and every time we put it on the person, we keep attached to them. So we're not emotionally independent. We make it it's their reason. We don't get to stand in our power because it's their fault. But really, it's a warning signal for us. We have images that come up in our brains when stuff happens. We are connected to past and experiences and all this stuff. And it really doesn't matter what it's connected to. It's really about, how do I get to a better place? So it's a warning signal. So when you're feeling insecure, when you're feeling in pain, when you're feeling angry, you have to give it your attention. There's something that needs your attention, and it's not, I need the person to change. It's no, I need to get myself from a negative vibration to a higher vibration. How do I do that? I got to do it in baby steps. And everybody's process is different in how they get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Number 4. We got to stand in our power. You know, we got to try not to speak and rehearse habits that put us in powerlessness, which is like blame and complain and victimhood. So, you know, what are some ways that you can, you know, this is a prescription. So what are ways that people can stand in their power?
Standing in my power looks like educating myself. That's the best that I can do, is educate myself on what's happening on an emotional level, what's happening on a physical level, and what's happening to me on a spiritual level, because I'm always very concerned at why I'm having these connections with certain people. What's their role in my life? I'm always looking at things. I have to look at everything in a spiritual level, because I believe that's where I infinitely exist. No matter what, physically I will eventually expire, even mentally those things will fade. And so spiritually, why did I go through this? What did I, what did I just really need to educate myself on as many aspects as I can, so that way I can feel powerful and I can make sense of the process, because otherwise I know that my feelings will fool me.
I love that. I think for me, it's keeping my routine, adding the things that I really love, or that I wanted to explore, that I'm giving myself more permission. Because I think in those moments, I want to be all the things that that I was getting from someone else. The good parts, I want to make sure that I'm still sourcing that to myself. So it's okay here, have fun, go on a trip, or sleep in, or go see a movie, go eat something nice, buy yourself something nice. And the emotional part too, so being able to maintain the curiosity, the kindness, yeah, just being there.
I love that it looks different for both of you guys. And I think this is what this is all about. You know, we go on like these blogs and we're trying to find the way. And really the way has to be personalized, and you've got to know what that is. And I love that you said it's education, and yours is it's like doing things that fill up my cup. You know, for me, it's about changing my beliefs and knowing what I need. You know, so if I've got a belief that's working against me, that tells me I'm powerless in any way, I got to change that belief, because I'm used to, you know, feeling like a victim. They've done that to me, you know, whether it's like growing up or whatever, they've done this thing to me, but they can't fix it for me. I can only fix it for me. So I have to have a different belief that tells me I am more powerful than I ever imagined, and I can get through anything if I believe it is so. And if I have a belief that's blocking me, I need to change that belief. So I change my beliefs, and then I figure out what I need at the time. What I need at the time usually is probably rest and relaxation, talking to a friend, going out, getting some sun, or I may need to just sit in those emotions, take a bath, and just be like, this hurts, and just acknowledge it and just be in it and be like, well, tomorrow will be different. But right now, I'm okay, and I need to do this right now.
I love, out of everything everything you said is 100, but the one thing that just was like, oh, was take a bath. Let me tell you why, people out there, man or woman, the bath is such a healing place. If you don't have a bath, because a lot of people just have showers, get yourself to a tub, fill that tub up, submerge yourself, put some bath salts in there, put some oils in there. And this is saying something to the universe in so many ways. It's like you're getting naked. You're naked in this bathtub. There's a spiritual world out there, whether y'all realize it or not, y'all believe it or not. There's something out there around us. When we're in the bath, that aura, that energy body that we're part of, you get to clean it. That salt, you get to ground down. You put yourself under there, cry, talk to the water. Sometimes I tell the water everything, and then I drain the tub and refill it and do it again. And I'll stay in there for hours. I'll meditate in it. I'll lay in it. I'll cry in it. I'll call friends in it. That bath is my healing place. And sometimes I take like 4 a day, anything to
I,
come the energy body. Baths are healing.
Yeah.
I love that because it
Ultimately,
goes, I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm gonna cut you off for a second. You had mentioned, Janessa, in another episode that water uh, it's like emotion, right? So, and it's cleansing. And so when water is so powerful, not only do we need to drink it, but we need to sit in it to heal ourselves. And it has such healing power. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because I didn't connect the two. And I actually took some baths this weekend because I had some pain and it released everything. So I agree. Baths are really, really important. But go ahead, Lisa.
The question that you mentioned, that what do I need? Because I'm sure I've heard that before, but when you ask me to start thinking about that question in life, what do I need? Now it's I am actively making that a routine. Like I'll be in some hectic situation, like what do I need? What do I need? And then now I'm getting the answers. Like like I can, and I think before it wasn't even an option. What do I need? And I think it's something that is such a big, important question. I don't know how I lived all my life without ever asking myself, what do I need? Because I literally have felt it now take me from one emotion to something else. Or from, one state of mind to something better. So I really just wanted to stress how important that little question that is so easy to take for granted is.
I love that. And I think that comes from self-care because, when I would ask myself that question back in the day, what do I need? Is I needed them to change. I needed them to stop cutting up, stop doing shit that they know was bad. But now it's like, what do I need? Because I've been working on my self-care and I've been filling up my own cup. I'm aware that I need relaxation and I need repair and I need peace and I need to get up the emotional scale. I don't need them to do anything different because I get to affect my emotions. They don't get to. I've allowed them to affect. I've allowed them to activate things within me, and I get to determine what that looks like. But go ahead, Janessa.
Yeah, it's a beautiful process that alone, Lise. So after what do I need, consider why do I need it? Because that's what's going to bring us to that part where, like Sherelle said, I didn't know at a point what I need. I thought I needed for them something outside of self. But when you start asking, like if your theory, let's just use it as an example, if your theory was, I need them to change, then the question after it following up is, why do I need them to change? And then the answer will eventually come because you're fucking controlling it. You're trying to control something outside of self. So it's so important to ask, why do I need? On top of what do I need? Because then it allows you to go a little level deeper, like, what do I need them to do something for me for, or whatever it is that you need, right? Because it's deep. Sometimes we think what we need is something we have no control over.
I realize too that sometimes it's something very it's something much smaller. It's not the solution to the biggest question that I'm asking. It's, what, I actually need to go have a cup of water. Or you know what? I need to sit down for a minute. Or I need to just, I need to research something that I was putting off. It's I realize it makes the big problem a lot more a lot more clear, and you realize you don't have to deal with the whole thing at that moment. It's not always what is as important as I expected or as I thought.
Yeah. And I think another thing we can add is you got to ask yourself the question, is my need about managing them or is it about managing me?
There we go.
Because that's what we're used to, the need being about managing them, but the need has to be about managing you. So that's where it's like, yeah, I need some tea. I need to talk to somebody. I need to take a bath. I need to get my hair done.
Exactly. I need to get to the podcast on time.
That's both of us, baby girl.
And number 5, so let's go back over it. So it's acknowledge and process your feelings. 2, you want to turn up the nurturing and self-care for yourself. You want to manage. 3, you want to manage your thoughts and emotions. 4, you want to do whatever you need to stand in your power. This is the end of part 1 of this episode, How to Heal a Broken Heart. We gave you steps 1 through 4. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll give you steps 5 through 10. My joyful friends, that's our show. Thank you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and leave a review. Share this episode with someone you think would get some value out of it. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Bye-bye now.